Living for today. Psalms 118:24. This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. So this has been the theme of my life and heart this week. Between my pastors, email devotions, and God himself, I've been bombarded with this notion all week. I almost got offended for a minute, like, okay, God, are we back on the whole complaining and being ungrateful issue again? I sat in deep thought, on and off throughout the beginning of the week, wondering why I kept hearing God say, just live for today. Then I went to service, and in the prayer room before service, my worship pastor gave a word concerning the same thing, living for today, and not being so consumed with your future that you forget to live for today. I was like, wow, okay, God, I see you trying to make it a bit more plain for me to grasp. Then we go into service, and my bishop talks about how God is bringing us to a place of isolation or separation so he can perform the miracle we've been praying for. How we get so consumed with what we're leaving behind that we fight what God is trying to do because we simply don't know what's coming. Again, I'm like, okay, God, here we go again. As my worship pastor gives me the side eye saying, I hope you're paying attention to this. Gotta love my worship pastor. So this morning I get up and head to work as usual, and since I got to work so early, I took the time to read some devotional in my email. I opened my first devotion, and of course it's speaking on learning to live for today. So I took that as a wink from God to meditate and write a bit on the matter. I can't speak for anyone else, but God has truly been setting me aside for a while, and it has been one of the hardest times in a while for me. Being in a state where the only family I have is my husband and kids was already a challenge for me coming from a big family. I immediately started recruiting family and friends, and for God to bring me to a place of isolation was hard, and I can honestly say I was fighting it for a good minute. God had made it very clear that he was trying to do some things in my life, and he needed the distractions gone in order for him to get me there. It was exciting to think that something big was coming. I wasn't just thinking it, I could feel it too, and it was overwhelming in a good way. However, I became so consumed with the future and whatever was coming that I began to base everything I did on that. It made me unhappy. I felt all these great things coming my way, but would look at my job or current financial situation and would become so unhappy with my current life. At the same time, after taking a step back from people in my life, I felt so consumed with loneliness and regret because I was in a place of having no one but God to talk to, and that was a bit different for me. We get so used to talking to everyone but God about our lives and our issues that when all we have is God, we don't know quite how to handle it. It was in that moment that I realized that was my problem. That's our issue. That's why God has to isolate us at times. Because if we had everyone at our disposal to talk to, we wouldn't be so quick to run to God, who should be our first response. God wants us to live our lives day by day, not worrying about the people or places we leave behind or step back from, not frustrated about where we are now compared to where God is taking us, simply for today. It's when we live for today that we can truly quiet our minds from the worry and frustrations and hear the voice and instructions of the Lord. That's when divine appointment happens. That's when we can appreciate the small things that occur in the day and receive the revelations for the day that will carry us to the next day of blessings and lessons to be learned. Today I ask you to take some time to truly let all of the expectations on yourself, your life, and your ministry go. Simply let God be God and guide you in every step you take. Don't worry about where you are or even where you're going. Live solely for today. Take one obedient step after another and let God do what he does best. I promise you, he'll blow your mind. Until next time, be blessed.